The escape pod screamed through Mustafar's atmosphere like a falling star. Inside, Kal-El, the last son of Krypton, struggled to remain conscious. His body ached in ways he'd never experienced. The dimensional rift that had swallowed him during Krypton's destruction had thrown him through realities, through spaces that shouldn't exist, until finally spitting him out here, wherever here was. The pod's hull was never designed for atmospheric entry. It had been built for quick evacuation from a dying planet, not dimensional travel and combat landings. Panels tore away. Systems failed. Warning lights that Kal-El couldn't read flashed frantically. Then impact. The pod hit Mustafar's volcanic surface at terminal velocity, plowing through hardened lava rock and creating a trench 100 feet long. It tumbled, rolled, and finally came to rest against a massive obsidian formation. Silence. Then the pod door blew outward with a hiss of escaping atmosphere. Kal-El crawled out, his infant body already beginning to mature under the influence of this system's yellow sun. By the time he pulled himself fully from the wreckage, he looked to be a young man in his early 20s, Kryptonian biology responding to solar radiation in ways his parents had never fully explained. He stood on shaking legs and looked around. Hell. He'd landed in hell. Mustafar was a world of fire and stone. Rivers of lava carved through black rock. Geysers of superheated gas erupted from fissures. The air itself seemed to shimmer with heat. In the distance, massive mining facilities clung to cliff faces, their structures twisted and broken. Kal-El's enhanced hearing, already recovering under the yellow sun's influence, picked up sounds, mechanical sounds, and something else, the clash of metal, shouting, combat. His instincts, still forming but fundamentally heroic, pulled him toward the sounds. Someone needed help. He ran, his speed increasing with every step as his powers returned. What would have been a mile-long journey took seconds. He leaped over a lava river, barely noticing the heat that would have incinerated any normal being. Then he crested a rise and saw them. Two men fighting on a platform suspended over a lava river. They wielded weapons of pure energy, blades of light that hummed and crackled as they met. One wore dark robes, his face twisted with rage and anguish. The other wore lighter colors, his expression heartbroken. They moved with speed and precision that seemed impossible. Leaping, flipping, striking with techniques that appeared almost superhuman. But Kal-El could see they were human, or human enough, just enhanced somehow, fighting with a skill and ferocity he'd never witnessed. The man in dark robes attacked with brutal aggression, each strike meant to kill. The man in light robes defended with perfect technique, but Kal-El could sense his reluctance. This wasn't a battle between enemies. This was something personal. "You were my brother, Anakin," the light-robed man shouted, his voice breaking. "I loved you. I hate you," the dark-robed man Anakin screamed back, his voice raw with pain and fury. They clashed again. Energy blades locked together, faces inches apart. Then the light-robed man saw an opening. He took it. One strike. Precise. Brutal. Necessary. Anakin's legs separated at the knees. His remaining organic arm fell away. He collapsed, sliding down the embankment toward the lava river below. Kal-El watched in horror as the man this Anakin came to rest at the edge of molten rock. His clothes caught fire. His flesh began to burn. And he screamed with such agony and rage that it seemed to shake the air itself. "I hate you." Anakin howled again, his body consumed by flames. The light-robed man stood above him, lightsaber still ignited, tears streaming down his face. He didn't move to help, didn't try to pull Anakin from the flames, just watched him burn. Kal-El didn't think, didn't analyze, didn't consider the context or the consequences. He just acted. He launched himself forward with Kryptonian speed, crossing the distance in a heartbeat. The light-robed man barely had time to register movement before Kal-El was past him, sliding down the embankment toward the burning man. The heat was intense even for him. His skin, still adjusting to this universe's physics, felt the burn. But he pushed through, grabbed Anakin's remaining arm, and pulled him away from the lava's edge. "What are you doing?" the light-robed man shouted, scrambling down after him. "Let him go. He's fallen to darkness." Kal-El ignored him. He pulled Anakin to safer ground, beating out the flames with his bare hands. The burned man's eyes, yellow and filled with hatred, locked onto him. "Let me die," Anakin rasped through ruined lips. "No one dies while I can help them," Kal-El replied, his voice firm despite having no idea what he'd stumbled into. The light-robed man reached them, lightsaber still ignited, pointed at Kal-El. "Step away from him." Now, Kal-El looked up at the man, older, bearded, eyes red from crying. His hand trembled as he held the energy blade, but his voice was steady. "I can't do that," Kal-El said. "He's dying, he needs medical help. You don't understand what he's done. What he's become." The man's voice cracked. "He killed younglings, children, at the Jedi Temple. He betrayed everything we stood for, everything we were." Kal-El felt his stomach turn. Children. This burning man had killed children. He looked down at Anakin, seeing the ruin of what had been a human being. 3 limbs gone, burns covering most of his body, eyes filled with yellow light that seemed wrong somehow. And beneath the hatred and pain, Kal-El's enhanced senses detected something else. Regret. Buried deep, but present. "What's your name?" Kal-El asked the standing man. "Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was his master, his friend, his brother." Obi-Wan's lightsaber lowered slightly. "And you are?" "Kal-El. I don't know where I am. My planet died. I was sent away. Then something happened, and I ended up here." "You're not from this galaxy." It wasn't a question. "I don't think so. Everything feels different." Obi-Wan studied him for a moment, then deactivated his lightsaber. "Different. Yes, you feel different. Not force-sensitive, but powerful. I can sense that much." He looked back at Anakin. "What you're holding is Anakin Skywalker. He was the chosen one, prophesied to bring balance to the Force. Instead, he fell to the dark side, helped the Sith Lord Palpatine destroy the Jedi Order. And now he's dying." Kal-El finished. "And you were going to let him burn. It would have been a mercy. Better than what awaits him." Obi-Wan's voice was hollow. "The dark side consumes, corrupts. There's no redemption for what he's done. The best I can give him is a quick death. That's not mercy. That's murder. You don't understand." "You're right. I don't understand. I don't understand this Force you mention. Don't understand how someone becomes dark side. But I understand watching someone burn to death, and I won't allow it." Obi-Wan opened his mouth to respond, then froze. His head snapped toward the sky. No, he's coming." "Who?" "The Sith Lord. Palpatine. He'll sense Anakin through the Force. He's coming to claim what remains of his apprentice." Obi-Wan grabbed Kal-El's arm. "We need to leave, now. If you carry Anakin, he'll kill you too." "Let him try." In the distance, the sound of engines grew louder. A shuttle, sleek and black, descended through the volcanic atmosphere, heading directly toward their position. Kal-El's enhanced vision picked up details. The shuttle was heavily armored, armed, and inside was a presence he could feel despite having no connection to this Force Obi-Wan mentioned. A presence that felt fundamentally wrong. "That's him," Obi-Wan whispered. "The Emperor. The most dangerous being in the galaxy." "I've faced dangerous before," Kal-El replied, though he wasn't sure that was true. His memories were fragmented, confused, but his instincts, his core sense of right and wrong remained intact. "Not like this. He'll twist your mind, corrupt you, turn you into a weapon. Then I'll resist." Obi-Wan looked at him like he was insane. "You can't resist the dark side. No one can. That's what happened to Anakin. He thought he was strong enough to use the dark side without being consumed. He was wrong." The shuttle landed 50 yards away. The boarding ramp lowered with a hiss of hydraulics, and from within emerged a figure in dark robes. Emperor Palpatine descended the ramp with deliberate slowness, his hood obscuring his face. But Kal-El didn't need to see his features to sense the wrongness. This being radiated malevolence in a way that bypassed normal senses and struck directly at something primal. "Master Kenobi." Palpatine's voice was soft, almost grandfatherly. "How unfortunate to find you here. I had hoped you perished with the other traitors." "The Jedi weren't traitors," Obi-Wan replied, hand moving to his lightsaber. You orchestrated everything. The war, the clone army, all of it. Of course I did. And it was glorious. Palpatine's attention shifted to Kal-El. But what have we here? You are unexpected. Not human. Not from this galaxy. Yet you stand on Mustafar, holding what remains of my apprentice. Curious. Kal-El tightened his grip on Anakin, who had lost consciousness. This man needs medical attention. I'm taking him to get help. Palpatine laughed a dry, crackling sound. Medical attention? For a child murderer? For a Jedi killer? For the instrument of the Order's destruction? He took a step closer. What you hold is Lord Vader, my greatest creation, and you will surrender him to me. No, the word hung in the air. Palpatine tilted his head, studying Kal-El with increased interest. You dare refuse me. You have no conception of what I am, what I can do. I know you're someone who hurts people. That's enough. Let me demonstrate something. Palpatine raised his hands, lightning crackling between his fingers. This is power, true power. The power to unmake flesh, to break minds, to shatter spirits. Power you cannot comprehend or resist. The lightning lanced forward, a coherent stream of electrical energy powerful enough to kill instantly. It struck Kal-El directly in the chest, and did nothing. Kal-El stood there, Anakin still in his arms, as the lightning dissipated harmlessly across his skin. He looked down at where he'd been hit, then back up at Palpatine. That's supposed to hurt, isn't it? For the first time in decades, Emperor Palpatine felt genuine surprise. The lightning had failed. Not been resisted through force techniques, not been absorbed and redirected, simply failed. As if the being standing before him existed outside the laws that governed this universe. What are you? Palpatine demanded, abandoning the grandfatherly tone for one of barely controlled fury. Someone who doesn't let people die while I can prevent it. That's all you need to know. Kal-El began backing away. Anakin held carefully. I'm leaving. I'm taking him. And you're not going to stop me. Bold words. Palpatine gestured, and clone troopers emerged from the shuttle, a dozen of them, weapons raised. But you are alone. Powerful perhaps, but alone. You cannot fight an army. Obi-Wan activated his lightsaber and moved to stand beside Kal-El. He's not alone. Palpatine's eyes, yellow and malevolent, fixed on his former ally. Master Kenobi, always so predictable, so bound by your precious Jedi code. Very well. If you wish to die, protecting a fallen apprentice and an interdimensional anomaly, I will accommodate you. The clone troopers advanced, blaster rifles aimed. Kal-El made a decision. If his powers were returning as he suspected, if the yellow sun was restoring what Kryptonian biology was capable of, then he had options these people couldn't imagine. Obi-Wan, he said quietly, when I move, run for that shuttle over there. He nodded toward a smaller craft, partially hidden by rock formations. I'll meet you there. You can't fight them all. Yes, I can, trust me. Before Obi-Wan could respond, Kal-El moved. The clone troopers barely had time to register movement. Kal-El covered the distance in less than a second, his Kryptonian speed fully manifesting for the first time in this universe. He appeared among them like a ghost, moving too fast for human perception. His first priority was disarming, not killing. Despite everything, despite the context, he didn't understand these were soldiers following orders. He wouldn't kill them if he could avoid it. He grabbed blaster rifles and crushed them, the metal crumpling like paper. When troopers tried to engage him in hand-to-hand combat, he moved around them, his speed and strength making their attempts laughable. A gentle push sent one sprawling. A touch to a helmet sensor cluster disabled another's targeting systems. In 10 seconds, a dozen clone troopers were disarmed and confused. Palpatine watched with calculating eyes. This being, this Kal-El, was fast, stronger than any human, durable enough to ignore force lightning. But how durable? What were his limits? Interesting, Palpatine mused. You possess physical capabilities beyond any species I know. But can you withstand this? He thrust both hands forward, and the air itself seemed to compress. Telekinetic force enough to crush a starfighter slammed into Kal-El from all directions. Kal-El felt the pressure. It was real, undeniable, Whatever power Palpatine wielded, it could affect him. But compression wasn't the same as damage. His Kryptonian cellular structure, reinforced by yellow sun radiation, was monumentally resistant to pressure. He pushed back. Not with any technique or power, just with raw physical strength. The telekinetic grip shattered. Palpatine actually took a step backward, his composure cracking. Impossible. Nothing resists Force crush through mere physical strength. "I'm not from your universe," Kal-El replied, still holding Anakin carefully. "Your rules don't apply to me." Then perhaps more direct methods. Palpatine's hands moved in complex patterns, and the very air around Kal-El began to darken. This was no mere Force technique, this was Sith alchemy, raw dark side energy given form to corrupt and destroy. Kal-El felt it pressing against his mind, whispering, promising, offering power if he'd just give in, just let the darkness in, just accept what he could become. He pushed it away, not through technique or training, but through sheer incorruptible will. His core identity, his sense of self forged in the final moments of Krypton, his parents' values imprinted at a cellular level rejected the darkness absolutely. "No," he said simply. Palpatine stared. In his centuries of existence, across countless dark side manipulations, nothing had simply said no and made it stick. Force users resisted through technique. Non-Force sensitives fell immediately. But this being just refused. "You are an anomaly," Palpatine said coldly. "A variable I did not account for. But variables can be eliminated." He gestured toward his shuttle. "All turbo laser batteries. Open fire. Vaporize him." The shuttle's automated defenses activated. Twin turbo laser cannons swiveled toward Kal-El and fired. The turbo laser blasts were designed to punch through starfighter armor. Twin beams of coherent energy, each carrying enough force to vaporize several tons of durasteel, converged on Kal-El's position. Obi-Wan, who'd been making his way toward the escape shuttle, saw the attack and knew no one could survive it. No. The blasts hit. The explosion was spectacular. Rock vaporized. Lava splashed. A crater 20 feet across appeared where Kal-El had been standing. When the smoke cleared, Kal-El stood in the center of the crater, completely unharmed. His clothes were singed, his cape was gone, but his skin was unmarked. And incredibly, he still held Anakin, who remained unconscious but alive. Kal-El looked at Palpatine. "Is that your best?" For the first time in his long life, Emperor Palpatine felt something he'd forgotten. Fear. Not of death, he'd transcended such concerns through Sith alchemy, but fear of the unknown. Fear of a power he couldn't understand, couldn't quantify, couldn't control or corrupt. This being had tanked turbo laser fire, had resisted Force lightning, Force crush, and direct dark side corruption, and through it all, maintained an aura of unshakable moral certainty that was almost offensive in its purity. "What is your purpose here?" Palpatine demanded. "Why do you protect Vader? He means nothing to you. He's a person who's dying. That's enough. He's a monster, a child killer. He betrayed everyone who trusted him. He chose darkness over light. He deserves no mercy." "Maybe," Kal-El admitted, "but that's not my decision to make. Where I come from, people face justice. They face trial. They don't get burned to death and left to die. Where you come from is irrelevant. You're in my galaxy now. And in my galaxy, I am justice. Then your galaxy needs better justice." Palpatine's face twisted with rage. This creature was lecturing him. Him, the Dark Lord of the Sith, master of the Galactic Empire. The being who'd orchestrated the fall of the Jedi and the corruption of their chosen one. "You cannot win this," Palpatine hissed. "Even if you escape today, I command billions of soldiers, thousands of warships. I can deploy the full might of the Imperial military against you. You are one being, powerful, yes, but alone. You cannot fight an empire. Watch me." Kal-El's eyes began to glow red. Palpatine recognized a threat display when he saw one. And whatever power this being possessed, it was building toward release. He was outmatched here for now. But wars weren't won in single battles. "Very well," Palpatine said, his voice returning to its controlled tone. Take him. Take the broken shell of what was once Anakin Skywalker. But know this, I will find you. I will study you. And I will discover how to kill you. Perhaps not today, perhaps not tomorrow, but eventually, I will end you, and everyone you care about. I'll be waiting. Kal-El began backing toward where Obi-Wan waited. The Jedi had reached the shuttle and was frantically powering it up. Palpatine made no move to stop them. He simply watched, committing every detail to memory, the being's movements, his power signature, or rather, lack thereof, his incorruptible certainty. A problem. But problems could be solved. As Kal-El reached the shuttle, Obi-Wan pulled him aboard. Get in. We need to go now before he changes his mind. The shuttle lifted off, its engines screaming as Obi-Wan pushed them to maximum acceleration. Palpatine watched them disappear into Mustafar's volcanic clouds. Then he activated his personal communicator. Commander, initiate Protocol Omega Theta. I want all Imperial resources dedicated to locating the shuttle that just left Mustafar. Track it. Follow it. But do not engage. I want to know where they're going. Yes, my lord. Palpatine looked at the crater where Kal-El had tanked turbolaser fire. A being who couldn't be harmed by conventional weapons. Who resisted the Force. Who couldn't be corrupted. But every being had weaknesses. And Palpatine had millennia of Sith knowledge to draw upon. Anomaly, he muttered. Let's see how you handle what's coming. The shuttle shook as Obi-Wan pushed it through Mustafar's upper atmosphere. Warning lights flashed. The engines screamed in protest. In the passenger compartment, Kal-El laid Anakin down as gently as possible. The burned man was barely conscious, his breathing shallow and labored. He won't survive long without medical attention, Obi-Wan called from the cockpit. Even with Force healing techniques, injuries this severe. Where's the nearest medical facility? Polis Massa. It's a remote asteroid colony. The Organas were supposed to meet me there. Obi-Wan's voice cracked. With Padme. With his wife. His wife? Kal-El looked down at Anakin. He's married? Was married. To Senator Padme Amidala. She's... Obi-Wan couldn't finish the sentence. She was pregnant. With his children. He didn't know. And then he force-choked her when he thought I'd turned her against him. She collapsed. I brought her to the ship, but she's dying. Take me to her. Now, we're still being tracked. If we lead Imperial forces to Polis Massa, I'll handle Imperial forces. Just get us there. Obi-Wan set course, the shuttle's hyperdrive charging. As they prepared to jump, proximity alarms began screaming. Star destroyers! Obi-Wan shouted. 3 of them, exiting hyperspace around us. Palpatine must have had them waiting. Through the viewport, massive triangular shapes appeared Imperial Star Destroyers, each over a mile long, bristling with weapons. Unidentified shuttle, power down your engines and prepare to be boarded, a voice commanded over the comm. By order of the Emperor, Kal-El moved to the airlock. Get ready to jump to hyperspace. What are you doing? Buying us time. Before Obi-Wan could protest, Kal-El opened the airlock and jumped into space. The vacuum didn't affect him. Kryptonian biology, enhanced by yellow sun radiation, didn't require oxygen the way human biology did. He could hold his breath for hours if necessary. The 3 Star Destroyers began rotating to bring their weapons to bear on the small shuttle. Kal-El actually flew toward the nearest one. On the Star Destroyer's bridge, Admiral Kendall watched the tactical display in confusion. What is that? A missile? Negative, sir. Sensors read it as biological? It's a person. Flying through space without a suit. Impossible. Open fire. All batteries. Dozens of turbolaser batteries opened fire simultaneously. The space between the Star Destroyer and Kal-El became a web of deadly energy. Kal-El dodged, his speed and vacuum even greater than in atmosphere. He wove between blasts, accelerating toward the Star Destroyer's bridge. Target is evading. How is it evading? All batteries, focus fire, hit it with everything. The barrage intensified. And inevitably, some blasts connected. Kal-El tanked them. The impacts hurt more than the single shuttle blast on Mustafar. But his biology, still recovering and adapting, absorbed the energy, converted it, used it to fuel his cellular structure. He reached the Star Destroyer's bridge viewport and punched through. The viewport, made of transparent steel designed to withstand meteor strikes, shattered like glass. Atmosphere explosively decompressed. Personnel were sucked toward the breach. Kal-El caught them, all of them. Used his body to block the hole, while simultaneously holding on to the dozen crew members who'd been about to die. "Evacuate the bridge," he shouted over the howling wind. Now, they scrambled for the exits. When the last person was through, Kal-El released his grip and let himself be sucked back into space. The Star Destroyer's bridge was compromised, its command structure in chaos. Kal-El flew to the second Star Destroyer and repeated the maneuver. Then the third. In less than 5 minutes, 3 Star Destroyers were crippled, not destroyed, but unable to effectively coordinate. Their crews were alive but panicked. Kal-El returned to the shuttle, where Obi-Wan stared at him in absolute shock. Did you disable 3 Star Destroyers by yourself?" "I didn't destroy them. Just scared them." "There's a difference." Kal-El climbed back inside. "Now jump, before they recover." Obi-Wan engaged the hyperdrive, and the stars stretched into lines. They were safe. For now. As the shuttle flew through hyperspace toward Polis Massa, Kal-El sat beside the unconscious Anakin. The burned man's breathing was weaker. His life was fading. "Why did you save him?" Obi-Wan asked, emerging from the cockpit. "You heard what I said. He killed children, betrayed the Jedi, helped the Sith Lord destroy everything good in the galaxy. Why save someone like that?" Kal-El was quiet for a moment. "On my world on Krypton, I was sent away because the planet was dying. My parents put me in that escape pod to give me a chance at life. They believed I had potential, that I could be something good. What does that have to do with Anakin? He's dying, his life is ending, but he's still a person. Still someone who made choices, terrible choices, but choices nonetheless. Maybe he can't be redeemed. Maybe the things he's done are unforgivable. But that's not my decision to make. I just know I won't let someone die when I can prevent it. Even if they're a monster. Because maybe, just maybe, they deserve a chance to face what they've done. To choose differently. The Jedi Code teaches that once fallen to the dark side, there's no return. The corruption is absolute. Then maybe your code is wrong." Obi-Wan had no response to that. They flew in silence for a while, hyperspace streaming past the viewport. Finally, Obi-Wan spoke again. "Polis Massa is 10 minutes out. Padme is there. She's dying. The medical droids say she's lost the will to live. Her heart is broken. Even if we save Anakin, I don't know if we can save her. Then we save both." "How?" "You have abilities I've never seen. But can you heal a broken heart?" Kal-El looked at Anakin's burned, mutilated form. "Then out at the stars. I don't know. But I have to try." The shuttle dropped out of hyperspace near Polis Massa, a barren asteroid converted into a medical facility. Ships dotted the area, refugees from the fallen Republic seeking shelter. As they descended toward the landing bay, Kal-El made a silent promise. He'd lost his world. Everyone he'd known was gone, scattered across dimensions or dead. But maybe, just maybe, he could keep this world from losing more people, even if one of those people was a monster, because monsters could change. He had to believe that. Otherwise, what was the point of having power? The shuttle touched down, and the real work began. The medical bay on Polis Massa was a pristine white facility carved into the asteroid's interior. Medical droids moved with efficient precision, attending to the handful of Jedi survivors who'd made it this far. But the central bay held 2 critical patients. On one table lay Padme Amidala, former queen and senator of Naboo. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow. Medical scanners showed her vitals declining despite having no physical injuries severe enough to explain it. On the adjacent table lay what remained of Anakin Skywalker. 3rd-degree burns covered 70% of his body. 3 limbs were gone. His lungs were damaged from inhaling superheated air. By every medical standard, he should already be dead. The lead medical droid, a GH-7 model designated Healer 1, approached Bail Organa and Obi-Wan Kenobi as they entered with Kal-El carrying Anakin's unconscious form. Senator Organa, Master Kenobi, the situation is critical. Senator Amidala's life signs continue to deteriorate. She has lost the will to live. We estimate she has perhaps an hour remaining. Can you save her? Bail demanded. Not with current resources. Her condition is psychological as much as physical. The trauma she's experienced has caused her body to shut down, without intervention beyond our capabilities. What about the children? Obi-Wan asked quietly. We can perform an emergency delivery. The twins are viable, but Senator Amidala will not survive the procedure. Kal-El laid Anakin on the empty medical table. What about him? Healer 1 analyzed Anakin's condition with clinical precision. This patient requires immediate intensive care, extensive grafting, prosthetic limbs, respiratory support, Bacta immersion. With our current resources, we can attempt to save one patient, not both. That's not acceptable, Kal-El said firmly. I understand your distress, but medical reality is, save Senator Amidala. I'll handle him. Everyone stared at Kal-El. You're not a medical professional, Bail pointed out. How exactly do you intend to? I'm not human. My biology is different. Advanced. I have abilities your medicine doesn't. Kal-El looked at Anakin's burned form. I can stabilize him. Keep him alive long enough for your droids to work on the senator. Then they can treat him. Obi-Wan stepped forward. Kal-El, I understand your intentions, but this is beyond. Trust me. Please, just give me a chance. Healer 1 processed the request. If you can maintain this patient's vital functions for 47 minutes, we can complete Senator Amidala's treatment and delivery. Then we can attend to him. But I must warn you, the probability of maintaining stability in a patient this severely injured without proper equipment is 0.03%. I'll take those odds. Bail and Obi-Wan exchanged glances. They'd seen Kal-El survive turbolaser fire and resist the Emperor. If anyone could do the impossible, maybe it was him. Do it, Bail ordered. Save them both if you can. Healer 1 immediately redirected resources to Padme. Medical droids swarmed her table, preparing for emergency delivery and life support. Kal-El positioned himself beside Anakin. The burned man's breathing was almost non-existent. His heart rate was failing. Blood loss was catastrophic. What do you need? Obi-Wan asked. Nothing. Just don't interfere. Kal-El placed his hands on Anakin's chest, feeling the damaged lungs struggling beneath burned flesh. His Kryptonian senses, enhanced by yellow sun radiation, could perceive things no human could: the exact rate of cellular death, the precise locations of internal injuries, the microscopic tears in vital organs. He'd never done this before, had no training, no technique. But his biology responded to his will in ways human biology couldn't. His eyes began to glow red, not with destructive heat vision, but with precisely controlled thermal radiation. He focused the energy into coherent beams, targeting the worst of Anakin's wounds with surgical precision. The heat cauterized bleeding vessels too damaged to heal naturally. It sterilized infected tissue. It stimulated cellular activity in areas on the verge of death. Obi-Wan watched in amazement. What is he doing? Providing localized thermal treatment, Healer 1 reported. Scanners tracking Kal-El's work. Precision far exceeding our surgical lasers. He's preventing shock cascade and cellular death through targeted heat application. Remarkable. The probability of success has increased to 12%. Kal-El's heat vision completed its work, and he shifted tactics. He took a deep breath, deeper than any human lung capacity, and exhaled across Anakin's body. The breath was cold, supernaturally cold. It flash froze the surface of Anakin's wounds, creating a protective barrier against infection and further tissue damage. Now he's applying cryogenic preservation to damaged tissue, Healer 1 continued. Temperature control at that level should be impossible for an organic being. Yet he maintains it perfectly. Probability of success now at 31%. But the critical problem remained. Anakin's heart was failing. Too much damage, too much trauma. It would stop within minutes, and no amount of heat or cold would restart it. Kal-El placed both hands on Anakin's chest again. He could feel the dying organ struggling to pump blood through a system that was shutting down. He began applying rhythmic pressure chest compressions, but calibrated with superhuman precision. Each compression was exactly the right force, at exactly the right frequency, to maintain blood flow without causing additional damage. Manual circulatory support, Healer 1 observed. If he can maintain that rhythm for the required time, probability of success now at 53%. Obi-Wan moved closer. How long can you keep this up? As long as necessary, Kal-El replied, his voice steady despite the intense concentration required. Just save her. Save them both. At the other table, medical droids worked frantically. Padmé's vital signs continued to drop despite their efforts. Her will to live was simply gone, her spirit broken by Anakin's betrayal and the fall of everything she'd fought for. One of the droids paused. We're losing her. Heart rate critical. Brain activity declining. The children we need to deliver now or we'll lose all three. Do it, Bale ordered. The emergency delivery began. In the accelerated medical procedures possible with droid precision and advanced technology, the twins were extracted within minutes. First came a boy. Small, but healthy. Crying with surprising vigor. Then a girl. Equally healthy. Equally vocal about her sudden arrival into the universe. The children are viable and stable, Healer 1 reported. But Senator Amidala's vital signs continue to drop. She's not responding to stimulus. Her heart is failing. Kal-El, still maintaining Anakin's circulation, called out, "Tell her Anakin is alive." "What?" Obi-Wan asked. "Tell her. She needs a reason to live. Maybe knowing he survived will give her that reason." But she saw him fall to darkness, saw him become a monster. She also loved him. Tell her he's alive. Let her decide if that's reason enough. Obi-Wan hesitated, then moved to Padmé's side. He leaned close, speaking softly. "Padmé, can you hear me? Anakin lives. He's here. He's injured, but alive. Your children, Luke and Leia, they're here too. Healthy, safe. You need to stay with them, please." For a moment, nothing changed. Padmé's vitals continued their decline. Then, almost imperceptibly, her heart rate steadied, her breathing deepened slightly. "She's responding," Healer 1 reported. "Vital signs stabilizing. The psychological barrier is breaking. Continue verbal stimulus." Obi-Wan kept talking, telling Padmé about her children, about Anakin surviving, about hope for the future. And slowly, impossibly, she began to recover. 20 minutes later, both patients were stable. Padmé was weak but conscious, holding her newborn twins with tears streaming down her face. Anakin remained unconscious but alive, his vital signs maintained by a combination of Kal-El's intervention and the medical droids' now available resources. Kal-El finally stepped back, allowing the droids to take over Anakin's care completely. His hands were shaking from the sustained effort, but he'd succeeded. Both patients would live. Bail Organa approached, his expression a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "You saved them, both of them. Against all odds." "That's what I do," Kal-El replied simply. "Or at least, what I'm going to do, since I'm stuck in this universe." Obi-Wan joined them, looking between the two tables. "The question now is, what happens next? Padmé and the children need protection. Anakin needs extensive medical care, and something more. Redemption, if such a thing is possible for him. And the Empire will be hunting all of you," Bail added. "Palpatine knows Anakin survived. He'll deploy every resource to reclaim him or kill him. And after what happened at Mustafar," he looked at Kal-El, "he'll be hunting you too. Let him hunt. I'm not hiding. That's not bravery. That's suicide. You don't understand the Empire's scope. Millions of worlds, billions of soldiers, thousands of warships. Even with your abilities, you can't fight an entire galaxy. Maybe not. But I can protect these people. That's enough for now." Before anyone could respond, a holographic projector activated. The image of Master Yoda appeared, his ancient features grave. "Master Kenobi, Senator Organa, disturbing news I have received. Survived young Skywalker has, and an unknown being responsible for his survival. Explain, you must." Obi-Wan quickly summarized the events on Mustafar, Kal-El's arrival, and the confrontation with Palpatine. Yoda listened in silence. When Obi-Wan finished, the ancient Jedi Master's expression was troubled. "A grave mistake you have made. Consumed by darkness, Anakin Skywalker is. No redemption awaits him. Death, merciful it would have been." Kal-El stepped into the hologram's view. "With respect, Master Yoda, I disagree." Yoda's eyes focused on him. "Strong in the Force, you are not. Yet powerful, you appear. Who are you? To judge the fate of the fallen one. Someone who believes people can change, even when they've done terrible things. Done terrible things young Skywalker has. Murdered younglings, betrayed his brothers, helped destroy the Jedi Order. Irredeemable, such actions are. In your view, not in mine." The tension in the room was palpable. A being who just arrived in this universe was directly contradicting the Grand Master of the Jedi Order. Yoda's ears lowered slightly. "Understand the dark side, you do not. Corruption absolute, it is. Once fallen, return there is not. 1,000 years of Jedi wisdom, this teaches us. Then maybe your 1,000 years of wisdom is wrong." The silence that followed Kal-El's statement was deafening. Obi-Wan looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Bail Organa found sudden interest in the medical equipment. Even the droids seemed to pause in their work. Yoda's hologram flickered slightly. When he spoke, his voice was measured but firm. "Wrong. You believe the Jedi to be arrogant, such certainty is. Know this galaxy, you do not. Seen the dark side's devastation, you have not. Watched brothers fall to corruption, you have not. You're right. I don't know this galaxy. I've been here less than a day. But I know what I saw on Mustafar. I saw a man who'd fallen, yes, who'd done terrible things. But I also saw regret. Buried deep, but there. People capable of regret are people capable of change. Regret is not redemption. Feel remorse, the dark side allows. Makes the fall more painful, more complete. Anakin Skywalker is lost. Accept this, you must." Kal-El crossed his arms. "I don't accept that anyone is beyond saving. Where I come from here, you are not." Yoda's voice rose, his ears flattening completely. "Your world, different it may be. This galaxy, this is the Force, you do not understand. The dark side's power, you cannot comprehend. Absolute, its corruption is. Seen it, I have. For 900 years. Studied the Force, I have. And this, I know with certainty. Once fallen, Anakin Skywalker is dead. He should be. He's not dead. He's alive. And while he's alive, he has a choice. No choice remains for him, only darkness. Then I'll prove you wrong." Yoda was silent for a long moment, studying Kal-El through the hologram. Finally, he spoke, his voice quieter but no less firm. "Convinced you are. Unmoved by wisdom or experience. Familiar this is. Reminded of someone you are. Who? Anakin Skywalker. Before his fall, certain of his path, convinced of his righteousness. Unable to accept the Council's wisdom, Yoda's eyes narrowed. Arrogance. This is. And arrogance leads to darkness. It's not arrogance to believe in second chances, nor is it wisdom to grant them to those who have proven themselves unworthy." Before the debate could continue, a weak voice interrupted. "Stop." Everyone turned. Padme had pushed herself into a sitting position, the twins held carefully in her arms. Her face was pale, her strength clearly limited, but her voice carried authority. "Stop arguing about Anakin like he's not here. Like his fate is yours to decide." She looked at Yoda's hologram. "Master Yoda, I respect the Jedi Order. I've worked with you for years. But you're wrong about this. Senator Amidala, I'm not a senator anymore. The Republic is gone. I'm just a woman who loves a man who made terrible mistakes." Tears began streaming down her face. "He killed younglings. I know. He betrayed everything. I know. He hurt me. I know. But he's also the father of my children. The man who saved my life a dozen times. The hero who ended wars and freed slaves and fought for justice even when the council told him not to. The man he was, gone he is. Only darkness remains. You don't know that. None of you know that. You're all so certain he's lost. But have any of you actually tried to save him? Or did you just decide he was irredeemable and move on? Obi-Wan flinched. Padme, I couldn't. You left him to burn, Obi-Wan. You walked away from your brother and let him burn to death. Her voice broke. Maybe that was the right choice. Maybe the Jedi way is to let the fallen die. But it's not my way. And apparently, it's not Kal-El's way either. She looked at Kal-El, who stood silently nearby. Thank you. For saving him. For saving me. For giving us all a chance we didn't deserve. You deserved it, Kal-El replied. Everyone deserves a chance at life. Yoda's hologram flickered. Clouded by love, your judgment is, Senator. The dark side. The dark side took my husband and turned him into a monster. I know. But love brought me back from death. Love for my children. Love for the man Anakin was. Maybe love can bring him back too. Love is not enough against the dark side's corruption. Then what is? If love isn't enough, if compassion isn't enough, if hope isn't enough, what's the point of the Jedi Order? What are you protecting if not the things worth loving? Yoda was silent. Padme continued, her voice gaining strength despite her weakness. The Jedi failed Anakin. You sensed his fear, his anger, his attachment, and you did nothing but tell him to let go. You gave him rules but not understanding. Discipline but not compassion. You made him feel like his emotions were wrong, like loving me was a failure. Is it any wonder he fell when the only person who seemed to accept him was Palpatine? The Jedi Code. The Jedi Code destroyed the Jedi Order. Because it forgot that people aren't rules. They're messy, emotional, flawed. And sometimes, the best thing you can do is accept that and help them anyway. The medical bay was silent except for the soft sounds of medical equipment and the occasional gurgle from the twins. Finally, Yoda spoke, his voice heavy with centuries of weariness. Perhaps right, you are. Failed Anakin Skywalker, the Order did. Seen his struggles, we did. Helped him properly, we did not. But believe he can return from such darkness, I cannot. Too far fallen he is. Then don't believe, Kal-El said. Just don't interfere. Let him make his own choices when he wakes. If he chooses darkness again, I'll stop him. But if he chooses differently, surprised I will be. But hope for such an outcome, I will not. Yoda's hologram began to fade. Protect Senator Amidala and the children. You must. Powerful enemies, they have now. May the Force be with you all. The hologram disappeared. Bail Organa let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Well, that went better than I expected. Did it? Obi-Wan asked. We've just committed ourselves to protecting a fallen Jedi against the entire Empire, with our only asset being a being from another dimension who's been here for less than a day. I've faced worse odds, Kal-El said. No, you haven't. You just think you have because you don't know how bad these odds actually are. Before Kal-El could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Imperial fleet detected, a technician's voice came over the intercom. Multiple star destroyers, exiting hyperspace. They've found us. Bail rushed to the command center, Obi-Wan and Kal-El following. The tactical display showed a nightmare scenario. 6 Imperial star destroyers surrounding Polis Massa, with dozens of smaller vessels deploying from their hangars. How did they find us so quickly? Bail demanded. Tracking device, Obi-Wan realized. On my shuttle, Palpatine must have planted it before we left Mustafar. He wanted to see where we'd go. Can we evacuate? Not fast enough. They're already launching boarding parties. We have maybe 10 minutes before they breach the facility. Kal-El studied the display. 6 star destroyers. Thousands of stormtroopers. Probably Inquisitors, too, if Palpatine was serious about recapturing Anakin. I'll hold them off, he said. Get everyone to the evacuation ships. You can't fight 6 star destroyers, Obi-Wan protested. I disabled 3 on my own earlier. 6 is just twice the work. Earlier you surprised them. Now they know what you can do. They'll be prepared. Then I'll improvise. Before anyone could argue further, Kal-El was gone, moving at super speed toward the facility's main airlock. Obi-Wan turned to Bail. Get Padme and the children to your ship. I'll help coordinate the evacuation. What about Anakin? He's still unconscious and not stable enough to move. We have no choice. Move him or leave him. Those are the options. In the medical bay, Padme clutched her twins, looking at Anakin's unconscious form on the nearby table. The medical droids had done what they could, but he was still critically injured. Moving him could kill him, but leaving him meant the Empire would take him. Turn him into the weapon Palpatine had planned. Vader. We're taking him, she decided. I don't care what it takes. We're not leaving him for Palpatine. The droids worked quickly, preparing a portable medical capsule that could sustain Anakin's life functions during transport. It was risky. It might kill him, but it was their only option. Meanwhile, in space, Kal-El emerged from the airlock and flew toward the nearest Star Destroyer. The Imperial commander watched his approach on tactical displays. There it is, the target. All batteries, open fire, maximum saturation. Hundreds of turbo-laser batteries fired simultaneously. The space between the Star Destroyers and Polis Massa became a web of deadly energy. Kal-El dodged most of the fire, his speed in vacuum allowing impossible maneuvers. The shots that did connect, he tanked, his Kryptonian biology absorbing the energy. But there were too many. Even he couldn't dodge everything. And these gunners were prepared, tracking his movements, predicting his patterns. A concentrated barrage caught him, dozens of turbo-laser blasts hitting simultaneously. The combined force sent him tumbling through space. Target hit. Multiple confirmed strikes. Did we get him? Negative. Target is. He's recovering. Still approaching. Kal-El shook off the impacts and accelerated toward the lead Star Destroyer. If he could disable the command ship, the others might break off. He reached the bridge and punched through the viewport, same tactic as before. Except this time, the bridge was empty. It's a trap, he realized too late. The bridge was actually a reinforced chamber designed to contain him. The moment he entered, blast doors slammed shut from all sides. Heavy durasteel, meters thick, creating a perfect prison. Then the chamber began filling with gas. Not normal atmosphere, something else. Something designed to incapacitate. Kal-El held his breath, but the gas seeped in through the microscopic gaps in the walls. Whatever it was affecting him. His vision blurred, his strength began to fade. Containment successful. The real Imperial commander reported from the actual bridge 3 decks down. The Emperor's specifications were correct. The being can be trapped using conventional means if properly prepared. What about the asteroid facility? Deploy all boarding parties. Capture the targets. Kill anyone who resists. In the medical bay, Anakin Skywalker's yellow eyes snapped open. He immediately tried to move and discovered he couldn't. His limbs were gone. His body was encased in a medical capsule. And pain horrific. All-consuming pain radiated from every nerve ending. He screamed, the sound raw and primal. Padme rushed to his side, the twins in a nearby incubator. Anakin, stop, you'll hurt yourself. What did they do to me? He thrashed against the capsule's restraints, his remaining strength considerable despite his injuries. Where am I? What? He stopped when he saw her. Saw Padme, alive and healthy. Saw the incubator behind her with 2 small forms inside. You're alive, he whispered, his voice breaking. But I killed you. I choked you. I felt you dying. I almost died. But someone saved me. Saved us. She placed her hand on the capsule's transparent surface, as close to touching him as she could get. Anakin, you're a father. Luke and Leia, a boy and a girl. They're beautiful. Anakin's eyes still burning with Sith yellow filled with tears. No, I don't deserve. Padme, I killed younglings, children. I murdered them. I'm a monster. You should run. Take them and run before I hurt them too. You won't hurt them. You don't know that. The dark side. It consumes. Palpatine was right. Power is everything. Attachment is weakness. Love leads to loss. I had to become stronger, had to stop you from dying. But he trailed off, realization hitting. Palpatine. He manipulated me. Everything. The war. The dreams. Padme, I've been such a fool. You were frightened. And alone. And he took advantage of that. That's not an excuse. I chose darkness. I chose power over everything else. And now, he looked at his missing limbs. Now I'm broken. Useless. Better if Obi-Wan had finished me. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. I betrayed everyone, murdered my brothers, helped destroy the Order. There's no coming back from that. Padme leaned as close to the capsule as possible. Do you regret it? Every second of every breath. Then there's still good in you. Still a chance. No, I felt the dark side, Padme. It's not something you recover from. It's like a poison that seeps into everything you are. Every thought is tainted, every emotion twisted. Even now, I feel it whispering, offering power, promising strength if I just give in completely. Then fight it. I can't. I'm too weak. You're not weak. You're the man who freed the slaves on Tatooine, who saved my life a dozen times, who ended wars and fought for justice even when others told you not to. That man is still inside you. That man is dead. All that's left is Vader. Who's Vader? What Palpatine wanted me to become. A weapon, a tool, pure dark side power with no humanity left. That's my fate. That's what I chose. The facility shook as the first Imperial boarding parties breached the outer sections. Obi-Wan rushed in. We need to evacuate now. The Empire is here. I'm not running, Anakin said. Leave me. Let them take me. It's what I deserve. Absolutely not, Padme replied firmly. We're taking you with us. I'll just be a burden. A monster you have to watch constantly. It would be easier. I don't care about easier. You're my husband, the father of my children. And while there's breath in your body, there's hope for redemption. You sound like someone else I met, Obi-Wan muttered. An impossibly idealistic being who refuses to accept that some people are beyond saving. Where is he? Anakin asked, fighting 6 Star Destroyers by himself to buy us time to escape. Alone? That's suicide. He doesn't seem to think so. Then again, he also doesn't seem to understand the concept of impossible. The facility shook again, more violently this time. Closer. We're out of time, Bail announced, entering the bay. My ship is ready. But we need to move now. What about Kal-El? Padme asked. He'll have to find his own way out. Right now, our priority is getting you and the children to safety. They began moving Anakin's medical capsule toward the hangar. It was slow work, the capsule heavy and unwieldy. Every jostle caused Anakin to grunt in pain. Just leave me, he said again. You'll move faster without. Shut up, Anakin, Padme said, her voice firm but not unkind. We're not leaving you. Not now. Not ever. So stop asking. They reached the hangar just as stormtroopers breached the main corridor. Blaster fire erupted. Bail's security team returned fire, creating a defensive perimeter. Get them on the ship, Bail ordered. We'll hold them here. As they loaded Anakin's capsule and the twins' incubator onto Bail's Corvette, Anakin watched through the capsule's transparent surface, saw people fighting for him, dying for him. After everything he'd done, I don't deserve this, he whispered. Maybe not, Obi-Wan replied, nearby. But you're getting it anyway. And when this is over, when you've recovered, you'll have to decide what to do with that gift. Waste it by giving in to darkness? Or honor it by becoming something better? I don't know if I can become better. Neither do I. But someone seems to think you can. And he's fighting an entire Imperial fleet to give you the chance. The Corvette's engines fired up. They were ready to launch. But between them and escape stood 6 Star Destroyers and thousands of stormtroopers. And Kal-El was trapped, contained in an Imperial prison designed specifically to hold him. This wasn't a rescue. This was a disaster. Deep in the Imperial Palace on Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine stood before a holographic display showing the Polis Massa operation in real time. Status report, he commanded. My lord, We've successfully contained the interdimensional anomaly. He's trapped in the containment chamber as designed. The Polis Massa facility is being overrun. We'll have the targets in custody within minutes. Excellent. Bring me Skywalker. And the woman. The children are irrelevant. Kill them if necessary. What about the anomaly, my lord? Once contained, how should we proceed? Palpatine studied the image of Kal-El trapped in the containment chamber. Even drugged and weakened, the being radiated power. Power that couldn't be touched by the Force. Power that resisted corruption. He's too dangerous to turn and too powerful to kill easily. But everyone has weaknesses. Palpatine's yellow eyes gleamed. Begin researching exotic materials, radioactive elements, ancient Sith artifacts. Somewhere in this galaxy there exists something that can harm him. Find it. And in the meantime, my lord, keep him contained. Let him see what happens to those he tried to save. Let him watch as I reclaim Vader and break the woman's spirit. Perhaps that will teach him the futility of heroism in my empire. The hologram shifted to show the hangar battle. Stormtroopers advancing, Bail's forces being overwhelmed. The Corvette preparing for a desperate escape attempt. They won't make it, the commander reported. We have tractor beams locked on their ship, turbo lasers targeted, boarding parties ready. They're trapped. Palpatine smiled. Good. I want them to feel hope draining away. Want them to understand that resistance is futile. And I want the anomaly to witness it. Let him see the consequences of defying me. In the containment chamber, Kal-El fought against the drugs flooding his system. His Kryptonian biology was fighting back, metabolizing the foreign substances, but it was a slow process, too slow. He could hear the battle through the chamber's walls, hear the blaster fire, the screams, people dying because he'd failed to protect them. No, not like this. I didn't survive Krypton's destruction just to fail the first people I tried to help in this universe. He focused on the yellow sun's radiation permeating the chamber. Even through meters of durasteel, the solar energy reached him, fed him, restored him. His cells began metabolizing faster, processing the drugs, purging them, converting them into energy. His vision cleared, his strength returned, and his eyes began to glow red. My lord, the containment chamber sensors are showing massive heat buildup. The anomaly, he's doing something. Reinforce the chamber. Double the blast doors. He cannot be allowed to. The containment chamber exploded. Not from external force. From internal heat so intense it melted through meters of military-grade durasteel like wax. Kal-El emerged from the molten ruins, his eyes blazing with focused fury. The drugs were gone, purged completely. And now he understood something important. This empire, this emperor, saw people as tools, as disposable assets to be used and discarded. It was everything his parents had warned him about, everything he'd been sent away from Krypton to avoid, and he wouldn't tolerate it, not in his old universe, not in this one. He flew through the Star Destroyer's interior at super speed, heading for the hangar where Bail's Corvette was trapped. Behind him, alarms blared, bulkheads sealed, automated defenses activated. He ignored them all. Kal-El burst into the hangar just as stormtroopers were about to breach the Corvette. He didn't slow down, didn't stop, just flew through them like a missile, scattering armored soldiers like bowling pins. Everyone on the ship, now, he shouted. Bail's forces didn't need to be told twice. They retreated into the Corvette, dragging wounded with them. Kal-El positioned himself at the boarding ramp, becoming a one-man barricade. Blaster fire peppered him from all directions. He tanked it all, the bolts dissipating harmlessly against his skin. Launch, he shouted to the cockpit. We can't. Tractor beams have us locked. Not for long. Kal-El flew out of the hangar toward the Star Destroyer's tractor beam emitters. There were 6 of them, massive projectors designed to hold even capital ships in place. He punched through the first emitter housing, his fist destroying delicate machinery. Then the second, then the third. Tractor beams failing. He's destroying the emitters. Turbo lasers. Kill him. The Star Destroyer's point defense batteries swiveled toward Kal-El and opened fire at point-blank range. He was too close to dodge effectively. The barrage hammered him, each impact like getting hit by a speeding transport. But he didn't stop, didn't slow. just kept destroying emitters until all 6 were gone. Tractor beams offline. The Corvette is breaking free. Bale's ship launched, engines screaming as it accelerated away from the Star Destroyer. Kal-El flew alongside, using his body to shield the ship from incoming fire. Turbo laser blasts meant for the Corvette hit him instead. Each impact hurt his biology, still wasn't fully adapted to this universe's physics. But he could take it. The ship couldn't. "We're clear," Bale's voice came over the comm. "Kal-El, get inside. We're jumping to hyperspace. Go. I'll meet you there. You don't know where we're going. I'll figure it out. Just go." The Corvette's hyperdrive engaged, and the ship vanished into hyperspace. Kal-El was alone, surrounded by 6 very angry Star Destroyers. "The targets have escaped," the Imperial commander reported to Palpatine. "But we still have the anomaly. All ships, concentrate fire. Destroy him." All 6 Star Destroyers opened fire simultaneously. Thousands of turbolaser batteries, dozens of ion cannons, missile launchers, every weapon system the ships possessed, firing at once. The combined barrage would have vaporized a small moon. Kal-El flew straight into it. The impacts were devastating. Even his Kryptonian biology had limits, and this exceeded them. He felt bones crack, felt tissue burn, felt his consciousness starting to fade. But he'd accomplished his goal. The others had escaped. They were safe. That was enough. He let himself fall toward Polis Massa's surface, his body finally giving out. He woke up in darkness. No, not darkness. A cave. Underground, away from the sun's radiation. "You're awake. Good." Kal-El tried to sit up and discovered his body was covered in injuries. Burns, fractures. His healing factor was working, but slowly without direct sunlight. "Who?" "Obi-Wan Kenobi. We came back for you." The Jedi stepped into view, illuminated by a glow rod. "Did you really think we'd leave you after you saved our lives? You should have. The Empire jumped away once they couldn't detect your life signs. They think you're dead, buried under a collapsed facility, which gives us time to recover and plan our next move. Where are the others?" "Safe, hidden. Padme and the children are with Bale on Alderaan. Anakin is." Obi-Wan paused. "He's in a medical facility. Recovering. Sort of. Sort of. His body is healing. His mind is complicated. He's awake, aware, drowning in guilt over what he's done. The dark side still whispers to him, offering power, but he's fighting it. Barely." Kal-El managed to sit up, wincing at the pain. "He can be saved. You keep saying that, but you don't know him, don't know how far he fell. I know he regrets what he's done. I know he has people who love him. I know he has a chance to choose differently. That's enough." Obi-Wan was quiet for a moment. "You remind me of someone. Someone I used to know. Someone who believed the best in people, even when they didn't deserve it." "Who?" "Qui-Gon Jinn. My master. He died years ago, but he would have liked you." Obi-Wan offered Kal-El a hand. "Come on, we need to get you somewhere with sunlight so you can heal. Then we need to figure out what comes next." "What does come next? That depends on you. You've made an enemy of the most powerful being in the galaxy. Palpatine won't stop hunting you. He'll deploy everything he has to either kill you or find a way to control you. Your life as it was, whatever that was, is over." Kal-El thought about Krypton, about his parents, about the home he'd lost. Then he thought about Padme and her twins, about Anakin drowning in guilt, about Bale and Obi-Wan fighting an empire. "I don't have a home anymore," he said quietly. "My world is gone. Everyone I knew is dead or scattered across dimensions. But maybe," he looked at Obi-Wan, "maybe I can help protect yours. It's not protection we need, it's revolution. The Empire controls everything. If we're going to save anyone, we need to fight back. Actually fight. And that means war. I don't want war. Neither do I. But we don't always get what we want." Obi-Wan extended his hand again. "So what do you say? Will you help us? Help Anakin find redemption? Help Padme protect her children? Help us resist the Empire?" Kal-El took Obi-Wan's hand and stood, his body protesting but functional. "I'll help. Not because I want war, but because people need protecting. And apparently, I'm the only one in this galaxy crazy enough to try. That's the spirit. Welcome to the rebellion, Kal-El. Something tells me you're going to fit right in. They made their way toward the cave exit, where sunlight waited. And in that sunlight, Kal-El felt his strength returning. He'd lost one world, but maybe, just maybe, he could save this one, even if it meant fighting an empire to do it. 3 weeks after the Polis Massa incident, the fragmented rebellion had established temporary sanctuary on the remote world of Jabiim, a planet perpetually shrouded in storm clouds and torrential rain. The conditions were miserable, but the atmospheric interference made orbital detection difficult, perfect for hiding from the Empire. In a converted mining facility deep underground, Padme sat with her twins while Bail Organa coordinated communications with scattered rebel cells across the galaxy. Obi-Wan meditated in a corner, trying to process everything that had changed. And in a medical chamber sealed with blast doors, Anakin Skywalker underwent his daily struggle. Kal-El stood outside that chamber, watching through a transparisteel viewport. Inside, Anakin floated in a Bacta tank, his body slowly healing. Prosthetic limbs had been attached crude, compared to what Palpatine would have provided, but functional. His burns were fading, new skin growing to replace what had been destroyed. But the physical healing was the easy part. Every day, Anakin screamed, thrashed, fought against restraints as the dark side whispered promises of power, offered escape from guilt, promised strength if he'd just give in, just accept what he'd become. And every day, Anakin refused. Barely. How is he? Padme's voice came from behind Kal-El. Fighting, losing sometimes, winning more often lately. Kal-El turned to face her. The twins were asleep in a double carrier on her back. You should rest. You've barely slept since we arrived. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see him choking me. See the Jedi Temple burning. See everything we lost. She moved to the viewport, looking at her husband. But then I see him fighting. See him choosing to resist the darkness even though it would be easier to give in. And I remember why I fell in love with him. He's strong. He's broken. But yes, strong. She touched the viewport glass. The medical droids say he'll be physically recovered in another week. Then comes the real question. What happens next? Can a fallen Jedi actually be redeemed? Can someone who murdered children ever atone? I don't know. But I know he deserves the chance to try. Before Padme could respond, alarms began shrieking throughout the facility. Bail's voice came over the intercom. Imperial fleet detected. Multiple star destroyers and oh no, Inquisitors. They've found us. Kal-El's enhanced hearing picked up sounds from the surface. Ship engines, lots of them. And something else, a presence that felt wrong, like Palpatine but different. Multiple wrongnesses. The Inquisitors had arrived. Get Anakin out of the Bacta tank, Kal-El ordered. We're evacuating. He's not stable enough to move. We don't have a choice. If the Inquisitors get him, everything we fought for is lost. Medical droids swarmed into the chamber, beginning emergency extraction procedures. Anakin gasped as he was pulled from the Bacta, his new lungs taking in air for the first time in weeks. What's happening? He rasped, voice rough from disuse. The Empire found us, Kal-El replied. Can you walk? I don't know. Anakin looked at his new prosthetic legs. They were mechanical, visible through transparent casing. Not elegant like a Jedi's prosthetics should be, just functional. I haven't tried. Then, we're about to find out. The facility shook as the first bombardment hit. Dust fell from the ceiling. Structural supports groaned. Anakin forced himself to stand, his new legs trembling but holding. How many? A lot. Too many for me to handle alone while protecting everyone here. Then you need help. Anakin took a tentative step. Then another. The prosthetics responded sluggishly but worked. I can fight. You can barely stand. I've fought through worse. The Battle of Jabiim, the first one. During the Clone Wars, I was half dead from exhaustion and still won. He took another step, gaining confidence. Besides, I owe the galaxy a debt. Might as well start paying it. The facility shook again, more violently. They were out of time, "Everyone to the evacuation ships," Bail ordered over the intercom. "We're abandoning the facility." Kal-El, Padme carrying the twins, Anakin, and Obi-Wan rushed toward the hangar. Behind them, the facility's outer sections began collapsing as Imperial bombardment intensified. They reached the hangar just as blast doors at the far end exploded inward. Through the smoke emerged 5 figures in dark armor. Lightsabers ignited. Red blades, all of them. Inquisitors, former Jedi twisted to the dark side, now hunting their former brothers. The Grand Inquisitor led them, his yellow eyes fixing on Anakin. "Lord Vader." The Grand Inquisitor's voice was cold and mocking. "The Emperor will be pleased to have you returned. You've caused considerable inconvenience." "I'm not Vader," Anakin replied, his voice steady despite his weakness. "Not anymore. You will always be Vader. The dark side doesn't release its hold so easily. You know this, feel it even now, calling to you, offering power. I'm not listening. You will. They all do eventually." The Grand Inquisitor gestured to his companions. "Kill everyone else. Vader comes with us alive. The Emperor has plans for him." The Inquisitors attacked. Kal-El moved first, intercepting the Inquisitors before they could reach the others. His speed was fully restored after 3 weeks under Jabium's sun. He appeared among the 5 Darksiders like a ghost, grabbing 2 of them and hurling them backward before they could react. The Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber struck at his neck. The blade made contact, and for a moment, everyone expected to see Kal-El's head separate from his body. Instead, the lightsaber shorted out, its containment field unable to cope with whatever Kal-El's skin was made of. "Impossible," the Grand Inquisitor breathed. "You keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means." Kal-El grabbed the Grand Inquisitor's wrist and squeezed. Bones cracked. The Inquisitor screamed and dropped his useless lightsaber. The other 4 Inquisitors attacked simultaneously, coordinating through the Force. They couldn't cut him, but they could push him, pull him, try to immobilize him with telekinesis. Kal-El felt the Force grip taking hold pressure from all directions, trying to pin him in place. It was stronger than Palpatine's attempt, 4 minds working in concert. He pushed back with raw physical strength, and the Force grip shattered. "He's too strong," one Inquisitor shouted. "Fall back," and Kal-El grabbed him mid-sentence and threw him into the ceiling. The impact was devastating. The Inquisitor crumpled, unconscious. The remaining 3 spread out, trying to attack from multiple angles. They used the Force to hurl debris, create barriers, anything to slow Kal-El down. It didn't work. He was faster, stronger, and impossible to permanently harm. Within 2 minutes, all 5 Inquisitors lay unconscious or incapacitated. Kal-El stood among them, breathing heavily. "Is everyone all right?" "We're fine," Bail confirmed. "But we need to leave now. More are coming." As if to emphasize his point, the hangar's outer door exploded inward. Through it marched ranks of stormtroopers, hundreds of them, accompanied by AT-STs and heavy weapons teams. "You have got to be kidding me," Obi-Wan muttered. "Get to the ships," Kal-El ordered. "I'll hold them." "There are too many," Anakin protested. "Even for you. Then I'd better work fast." Kal-El flew toward the incoming Imperial forces. Blaster fire erupted, thousands of bolts filling the air. Most missed. Those that hit did nothing. He crashed into the stormtrooper ranks like a missile, scattering armored soldiers. His goal wasn't to kill, he'd learned these were living beings following orders, but to disable, destroy weapons, disable armor, create enough chaos that the others could escape. An AT-ST walker pivoted toward him, its chin-mounted blasters firing. The bolts hit Kal-El's center mass and bounced off. He grabbed the walker's leg and pulled, tipping the entire vehicle over. "What is that thing?" a stormtrooper shouted. "Fall back! Fall back!" The Imperial forces began retreating, their morale breaking. They'd been told to expect rebel resistance, not whatever this was. Kal-El gave them space to retreat, not pursuing. He wasn't here to slaughter soldiers, just to protect the people behind him. Behind Imperial lines, a figure in black armor observed through macrobinoculars. Captain Valen, commander of this operation, had seen enough. "Deploy the AT-ATs and bring up the heavy artillery. We need anti-capital ship weapons." Sir, for one target. You've seen what it can do. Yes, for one target. Massive AT walkers began advancing, their footsteps shaking the ground. Behind them, mobile turbo-laser cannons, weapons designed to bring down warships, rolled into position. Kal-El saw them coming and realized the situation was escalating. The Empire was willing to level the entire facility to capture or kill him. "Everyone needs to evacuate now," he shouted back toward the hangar. "We're trying," Bale's voice replied over the comm, "but the ships won't start. Someone sabotaged the engines. Then fix them. We need time. Then I'll buy you some." Kal-El flew toward the approaching AT-ATs, knowing this was about to get ugly. The first AT-AT opened fire with its massive head-mounted cannons. Heavy laser fire designed to penetrate starship armor slammed into Kal-El. The impact sent him flying backward, crashing through the facility's outer wall. Pain exploded through his body. These weapons were on a different level than standard blasters. But he got up. Always got up. He flew back at the AT-AT, dodging the next barrage, and slammed into the walker's front leg. The metal groaned but didn't break. These walkers were built to withstand punishment. So he hit it again, and again, and again. On the fifth impact, the leg buckled. The AT-AT toppled, its massive bulk crashing to the ground with enough force to register on seismic sensors. The second AT-AT fired. This time Kal-El was ready, flying under the shot and coming up beneath the walker's belly, its weakest point. His fist punched through armor plating, grabbing internal mechanisms and ripping them out. The walker went dead, its crew evacuating before it became a tomb. But there were 4 more AT-ATs, and now the turbo-laser cannons had acquired target lock. All 4 fired simultaneously. The barrage was overwhelming. Turbo-laser fire energy output measured in gigatons converged on Kal-El's position. The explosions were visible from orbit. In the hangar, Padme watched in horror. "He can't survive that. No one can survive that. He's not from this universe," Obi-Wan reminded her, though his voice carried uncertainty. "He's survived worse." The bombardment continued for 30 seconds. When it finally stopped, a crater 50 meters across marked where Kal-El had been standing. For a moment, nothing moved. Then Kal-El flew out of the crater, his clothing shredded, his skin burned but alive. "How?" Captain Valen shouted. "Maximum bombardment. Don't stop until there's nothing left." All 4 turbo-laser cannons opened fire again, this time continuously. The AT-ATs joined in. The sky became a web of deadly energy. Kal-El couldn't dodge it all, couldn't tank it indefinitely. His biology was incredible, but these weapons were designed to destroy moon-sized battle stations. He was taking damage faster than he could heal. He needed a different approach. Instead of fighting the walkers directly, he flew toward the turbo-laser cannons. If he could disable them, the AT-ATs were manageable. He reached the first cannon at super speed, grabbed its barrel, and crushed it. The weapon exploded spectacularly as energy backfed into its power systems. 1 down, 3 to go. The second cannon tracked him, firing point blank. The blast caught him full in the chest, sending him tumbling through the air. He recovered, flew back, and destroyed it with heat vision, his eyes burning through the cannon's power coupling. 2 down. The third and fourth cannons fired together. Kal-El flew between the blasts, feeling the heat wash over him, and crashed into the third cannon. His momentum carried both him and the weapon backward, crashing through the Imperial command post. Captain Valen barely escaped as the structure collapsed. The fourth cannon rotated, trying to acquire target lock on Kal-El in the wreckage. Before it could fire, a blue lightsaber blade emerged from its control panel. Anakin Skywalker stood atop the cannon, having somehow climbed up without being noticed. His new prosthetic legs were damaged, sparking, but functional. His face was set with grim determination. "You shouldn't be here," Kal-El said, climbing out of the wreckage. "Probably not, but you needed help." Anakin's lightsaber carved through the cannon's internal systems, disabling it permanently. "Besides, I owe you, for Padme, for the twins, for giving me a chance I didn't deserve. You're barely recovered. If the dark side is always there, always whispering. But right now, fighting beside you, I can barely hear it, so let's keep fighting." Behind them, the hangar doors finally opened. Bale's Corvette launched, followed by two smaller transports. They'd gotten the engines working. "They're evacuating," Captain Valen ordered. "All remaining forces, focus fire on the transports." The AT-ATs pivoted, their weapons tracking the escaping ships. "No," Kal-El said firmly. He flew toward the nearest AT-AT at maximum speed, grabbed its head, and physically redirected the walker's aim. The blast meant for the transport instead hit an empty facility section. Anakin, meanwhile, was using the Force to deflect blaster fire away from the ships. His powers were weakened, the dark side no longer amplifying him, but his skill remained. Between them, they kept the Imperial forces occupied long enough for all three ships to escape into the storm clouds and jump to hyperspace. Captain Valen watched them disappear from sensors. "They've escaped. All of them. Then we pursue," came a voice from behind him. Valen spun to see a figure in a hooded robe emerging from a shuttle. The presence radiated wrongness so intense that every stormtrooper instinctively took a step back. "Lord Vader," Valen said, confused. "But I thought, I am not the broken apprentice. I am the Emperor's contingency." The figure lowered his hood, revealing a face that was human but wrong eyes burning yellow, skin pale and stretched. "The Emperor foresaw Skywalker might resist returning, so he sent me. An Inquisitor trained in the depths of the Sith Temple, enhanced through alchemy, purpose-built to hunt failed Jedi. What are your orders?" "Simple. Find them, bring me Skywalker, kill the anomaly." The false Vader smiled, revealing pointed teeth. "And let the galaxy see what happens to those who defy the Empire." On Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine sat in his throne room, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. The rebellion was growing. Small, disorganized, but growing. Worlds were refusing imperial edicts. Governors were being assassinated. Supply lines sabotaged. And at the center of every significant rebel success, reports of a being of impossible power. A being who could fly, who could tank turbolaser fire, who resisted the Force. The anomaly. "Kal-El, interesting," Palpatine mused. "A variable I did not account for has become a legitimate threat." His communication array activated. "My lord, we have reports from Jabiim. Captain Valen's forces engaged the rebels. The anomaly was present, as was Skywalker." "Skywalker fought against us?" "Yes, my lord. Alongside the anomaly. They facilitated the rebels' escape." Palpatine was silent for a moment, processing this information. Anakin, fighting against the Empire, alongside an interdimensional being who seemed to embody everything the Sith opposed: hope, selflessness, incorruptible morality. This changes calculations. If Skywalker has truly turned against us, if the anomaly has become his ally, Palpatine stood from his throne, then they must both be eliminated, not captured, not turned. Destroyed, completely. "How, my lord? Our forces couldn't harm the anomaly, because you used conventional methods. But I am not conventional." Palpatine activated a holographic display, showing a star map. "There are places in this galaxy where reality is weak, where the dark side pools. One such place is Malachor, a world where ancient Sith alchemy still lingers. And in that alchemy, I may find the key to killing an unkillable being." "You're going personally, my lord." "Yes. The anomaly has proven too dangerous to handle through intermediaries, and Skywalker's presence complicates matters. They've formed a bond, the anomaly's idealism, feeding Skywalker's guilt, creating a feedback loop that might actually pull him back from darkness." Palpatine's yellow eyes narrowed. "That cannot be allowed. If Skywalker is redeemed, it proves redemption is possible. And that threatens everything I've built." "What about the rebels, my lord?" "Let them scurry. Without the anomaly, they're insignificant. Focus all efforts on locating him. When we find him, I will personally ensure he understands the futility of heroism." The hologram shifted to show footage from Jabiim Kal-El taking turbolaser fire and surviving. Palpatine studied it intently. Power without corruption, strength without darkness, impossible according to Sith doctrine. Yet there he stands. A thin smile crossed Palpatine's face. Let's see if he's truly invincible. or if he simply hasn't encountered the right weapon yet. 2 weeks later, Kal-El received an invitation, not through normal channels, through a message broadcast across every comm frequency in the galaxy simultaneously, a feat requiring resources only the Empire possessed. Kal-El of the dead world Krypton. I am Emperor Palpatine. We have unfinished business. The holographic image of the Emperor appeared, his yellow eyes seeming to look directly through whatever screen displayed him. You have interfered with Imperial operations, protected traitors, facilitated terrorism. These actions cannot be tolerated. Therefore, I extend an invitation. Meet me, alone, on Coruscant, in the Imperial Palace, and we will settle this matter personally. Don't do it, Obi-Wan advised when Kal-El reviewed the message aboard the Rebel command ship. It's obviously a trap. Of course it's a trap. But he's right, we have unfinished business. Kal-El looked at the others gathered in the briefing room. Bail, Padme with the twins, Anakin, still recovering but stronger each day. He won't stop hunting us, won't stop sending forces. Eventually he'll get lucky. Unless I end this. By doing what? Fighting the entire Empire, if necessary. But I'm hoping I can just fight him. You can't kill Palpatine, Anakin said, his voice heavy with experience. I trained under him for months, saw what he's capable of. He's not just a Sith Lord. He's something more. Something that survived for centuries through Sith alchemy and dark side rituals. Even if you destroy his body, he'll find a way to return. Then I'll destroy him so completely he can't return. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. Kal-El's voice was firm but not angry. Every day Palpatine rules. People suffer. Worlds burn. Hope dies. I didn't come to this universe to watch an empire crush everything good. I came here because I lost everything. My world, my family, everything I knew. And I refuse to let this universe lose the same things while I have power to prevent it. Padme spoke up, the twins sleeping in her arms. What if he kills you? You've survived everything so far, but you don't know what weapons he has. What if you're not as invincible as we think? Then I die trying, better than living while doing nothing. That's not heroism, that's suicide. Maybe, but it's also the only option I have. Because if I don't go, he'll keep hunting you, hunting your children, hunting everyone who's tried to help me. I won't let that happen. Anakin stood, his prosthetics whirring. Then I'm coming with you. No. Yes. He was my master, my responsibility. And maybe facing him together, we can actually win. You're still recovering, still fighting the dark side every day. Going back to Coruscant, facing Palpatine again, it could break you. It could. Or it could prove I've actually changed. That redemption is possible. Either way, I need to know. And you need backup. So I'm coming. Kal-El looked at Obi-Wan. Talk sense into him. I've been trying to talk sense into Anakin for 20 years. It's never worked. Obi-Wan sighed. But he's right. If you're walking into the Emperor's trap, you'll need someone who knows how he thinks, how he fights. And as much as I hate to admit it, Anakin knows Palpatine better than anyone. This is insane. Yes, Bail agreed. But everything about the last month has been insane. We've survived this long by doing what the Empire doesn't expect. Maybe facing Palpatine directly is exactly that. Kal-El looked around the room, saw determination, saw hope, saw people willing to fight despite impossible odds. All right, we do this together. But if things go wrong, if Palpatine overwhelms us, you get out. No martyrdom. Just retreat and live to fight another day. Agreed, Anakin said. They planned the mission carefully. A small infiltration team, Kal-El and Anakin, would take a stolen Imperial shuttle to Coruscant. Once there, they'd make their way to the Imperial Palace. Confront Palpatine, and either end his reign or die trying. One question, Obi-Wan asked, as they prepared to depart. What happens if you actually win? If you kill the Emperor? The Empire doesn't disappear just because its leader dies. There are Moffs, admirals, governors, all with their own power bases. You might create chaos worse than what we have now. Then we'll deal with that when it happens. Right now, we focus on surviving the confrontation. The stolen shuttle launched, heading for the galaxy's capital. Inside, Kal-El and Anakin sat in silence for a while as hyperspace streamed past. Finally, Anakin spoke. "Thank you for not giving up on me. Everyone else did. The Jedi, Obi-Wan, even Padme for a moment. But you didn't. I didn't know you, didn't know your history. All I saw was someone who needed help. You saw more than that. You saw potential for redemption when even I didn't. That's..." Anakin trailed off. "That's what heroes do. Real heroes. Not the ones like me who fought because they were good at it. Ones who fight because it's right. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone with power trying to do good. That's what makes you a hero. The trying." They dropped out of hyperspace near Coruscant. The planet-wide city gleamed below them, beautiful and terrible. At its heart, the Imperial Palace, a massive structure that dominated the skyline. "Last chance to turn back," Kal-El offered. "Not a chance. Let's end this." They descended toward the palace, their stolen Imperial codes granting them landing clearance. No resistance, no challenges. Because Palpatine was waiting, the throne room was exactly as Anakin remembered. Dark, imposing, designed to make visitors feel small. At the far end, Emperor Palpatine sat on his throne, hood obscuring his features. "Welcome," his voice echoed through the chamber. "I am pleased you accepted my invitation. Both of you. The anomaly and my failed apprentice." "I'm not your anything," Anakin replied, his voice steady. "Not anymore." "Oh, but you are. You will always be mine." "The dark side doesn't release its hold, Anakin. You know this. Feel it even now, calling to you. And here, in this place saturated with centuries of Sith power, it calls louder than ever." Anakin did feel it. The dark side, pressing against his mind, whispering promises, offering power. He gritted his teeth and pushed back. "I'm done listening. We'll see." Palpatine's attention shifted to Kal-El. "And you, the impossible being, strength without darkness, power without corruption. You represent everything Sith philosophy denies. Do you know what that makes you? Someone who's about to end your reign. No. It makes you a fascinating test subject. You see, I've spent the last month researching, studying ancient texts, experimenting with Sith alchemy, and I've discovered something interesting." Palpatine stood, his robe falling away to reveal that his body was covered in Sith runes, glowing symbols carved directly into his flesh through dark rituals. "You're resistant to the Force, to conventional weapons, to corruption, but you're not resistant to reality itself." He raised his hands, and the runes began to pulse. "Sith alchemy doesn't attack the body. It attacks the fundamental laws that allow bodies to exist. Let me demonstrate." The air itself began to change. Kal-El felt it immediately, reality distorting around him. The physical laws that governed his Kryptonian biology, that allowed yellow sun radiation to fuel his powers, were being altered. His strength began to fade. Not disappear, but diminish. The yellow sun's energy wasn't reaching him anymore, blocked by Palpatine's reality manipulation. "You see, I cannot harm you directly, but I can change the rules that make you powerful. Here, in my throne room, saturated with dark side energy and Sith alchemy, you are the one at a disadvantage." Kal-El tried to fly and found himself grounded, tried to use heat vision and felt the energy dissipate uselessly. His invulnerability remained. Palpatine couldn't directly harm him, but his active powers were suppressed. Fascinating, isn't it? A being of impossible power, reduced to merely superhuman levels. Still formidable, but no longer unstoppable. Palpatine's hands erupted with Force lightning, not the normal kind, but lightning infused with Sith alchemy. It struck Kal-El, and for the first time since arriving in this universe, he felt actual pain. His Kryptonian biology, deprived of solar energy and subjected to reality-warping alchemy, couldn't fully resist. The lightning burned, hurt, damage that actually mattered. Anakin ignited his lightsaber and charged. "Get away from him!" Palpatine gestured casually, and Anakin flew backward, slamming into a wall. "Did you think I'd forgotten you, my fallen apprentice?" You're exactly where I want you in this throne room, where the dark side is absolute. Let's see how long you resist." The dark side surged, pressing against Anakin's mind with overwhelming force. All his guilt, all his pain, all his fear amplified 100-fold. The whispers became screams, promising release if he'd just give in, just accept what he'd become. Anakin screamed, clutching his head. "Yes," Palpatine hissed. "Feel it. Embrace it. You are Vader. You always were. Accept your true nature and serve me again. Together, we can kill the anomaly and rule the galaxy as—" "No!" The shout came from Anakin. But it carried more than just his voice. It carried the Force, not dark, not light, but something between. Raw will refusing to break. "I am not Vader. I am not your weapon. I am Anakin Skywalker, and I choose to be better than what you made me." The Force exploded outward from Anakin, disrupting Palpatine's concentration. The reality-warping effect faltered. For just a moment, yellow sun energy reached Kal-El again. That moment was enough. Kal-El surged forward, his powers returning. He grabbed Palpatine before the Emperor could react and flew upward, smashing through the throne room ceiling. They burst into Coruscant's open sky, Kal-El carrying the struggling Emperor higher and higher. "You cannot kill me!" Palpatine screamed. "I am immortal. I have survived centuries." "I will." "I know I can't kill you," Kal-El interrupted, "but I can do something else." He flew higher, out of the atmosphere, into space. Coruscant fell away below them. The stars surrounded them. And still Kal-El climbed, carrying Palpatine toward the system's sun. "What are you doing?" "Testing a theory. You said I'm powered by yellow sun radiation, that it makes me invincible. Let's see what it does to you." They approached the sun. Kal-El could feel his powers surging, the solar radiation feeding him directly. But Palpatine, being fundamentally a creature of darkness, felt the opposite. The light was burning him. Not physically, his Sith alchemy protected against that, but spiritually. The pure energy was anathema to dark side corruption. "No, I will not be unmade by mere light." Palpatine unleashed his full power. Force storms erupted. Lightning cascaded. Reality itself bent as the Emperor tried to force his will upon the universe itself. But Kal-El held on and flew closer to the sun. The light intensified. Palpatine's physical form began to dissolve, unable to maintain cohesion this close to pure solar energy. His consciousness tried to escape, to jump to a clone body somewhere in the galaxy. Kal-El sensed it somehow, and held tighter, refusing to let Palpatine's essence escape. "You don't get to come back. Not from this. Not after everything you've done. I am eternal. I am—" The Emperor's scream cut off as his form completely dissolved, his dark side energy scattered by the sun's overwhelming light, unable to escape, unable to reform, destroyed. Not just killed, but completely unmade. Kal-El floated in the sun's corona, feeling the radiation restore every injury, every weakness. Then he flew back to Coruscant. Below, chaos had erupted. News of the Emperor's disappearance spread instantly. Imperial forces were in disarray. Moffs were already maneuvering for power. And in the ruins of the throne room, Anakin stood, looking up at the sky. "Did you—" "He's gone, completely." Anakin collapsed to his knees, not from weakness but from relief. "It's over. The Empire without Palpatine. It'll fracture. Civil war, probably. Chaos. Then we'll deal with it. Together. The rebellion, you, me, will help pick up the pieces. Build something better. After everything I've done, you think I deserve to help rebuild? I think you deserve the chance to try. That's all anyone gets. A chance." Across the galaxy, rebel cells received word. The Emperor was dead. The Empire was fracturing. The war wasn't over, wouldn't be over for years, but for the first time in decades, hope was real. On Alderaan, Padme held her twins and wept. Not from grief, but from relief. They had a future now. A chance. On the command ship, Bail and Obi-Wan began coordinating with rebel cells, planning how to capitalize on the Empire's chaos. And on Coruscant, Kal-El and Anakin stood in the ruins of the throne room, looking at the broken symbol of tyranny. "What now?" Anakin asked. "Now we rebuild. The galaxy is fractured. The Empire is collapsing into civil war. People need help, need protection, need hope. And you're going to provide it? One being against a galaxy's worth of problems? Not alone. With the rebellion. With you, if you're willing. With anyone who chooses to stand up and fight for something better." Anakin was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "I'll help. Not because I've earned redemption, but because maybe, if I spend the rest of my life trying, I'll start to deserve it. That's all any of us can do. Try." They left the throne room together, walking into Coruscant's sunlight. Behind them, an empire crumbled. Ahead, a galaxy waited to be rebuilt. And for the first time since arriving in this universe, Kal-El felt something he hadn't felt since Krypton's destruction. Purpose. He'd lost his world. But maybe, just maybe, he'd found a new one worth protecting. 6 months later, the Galactic Senate had been restored, not the corrupt institution Palpatine had controlled, but something new, representative, democratic, built on principles of freedom and justice. Anakin Skywalker stood trial for his crimes. Voluntarily, publicly, every atrocity acknowledged, every victim honored. The verdict was guilty. The sentence was service lifetime commitment to rebuilding what he'd helped destroy. Not as a Jedi, not as a Sith, but as a man trying to atone. Padme stood beside him through it all, the twins growing in a galaxy that now had hope. Obi-Wan had re-established the Jedi Order, but differently, allowing attachments, acknowledging emotions, learning from past failures. Bail Organa became the first Chancellor of the New Republic, building institutions designed to prevent another empire from rising. And Kal-El? Kal-El did what he'd always done. He helped, flew to disaster zones, rescued civilians from collapsing regimes, stopped warlords trying to fill Palpatine's void, protected those who couldn't protect themselves. The galaxy called him different names. The Man of Tomorrow, the last son of Krypton, the Hope Bringer, but he preferred the name Anakin had given him, Friend, because that's what he'd become. Not just a hero, not just a weapon, but someone who'd found family in a universe that wasn't his own. Standing on a balcony overlooking Coruscant's rebuilt cityscape, watching millions of beings rebuild their lives, Kal-El allowed himself a small smile. He'd lost Krypton, but he'd saved something just as precious. A galaxy full of people who'd learned that even in the darkest times, even when all hope seemed lost, one person's choice to do good could change everything. Beautiful view. Leia's voice came from behind him. The 5-year-old had snuck away from her mother again. "It is," Kal-El agreed, kneeling to her level. "Your world, your future, our world." Leia corrected. "You live here too." "I suppose I do. Are you happy?" "Father says you lost your real home." Kal-El thought about it. About Krypton. About parents he barely remembered. About a life he'd never lived. Then he thought about the people here. The family he'd found. The galaxy he'd helped save. "I lost my birth home," he said finally. "But maybe I found my real home. Sometimes home isn't where you're from. It's where you choose to be." "That's deep," Leia said seriously. "I'm going to remember that." "You do that." They stood together, watching the sun set over a galaxy at peace. Not perfect peace, not permanent peace, but peace earned through sacrifice and struggle and the refusal to give up hope. Kal-El's journey had begun with destruction, a planet dying, a universe lost, but it had ended with creation, a family found, a galaxy saved, a purpose discovered. And as the stars began to appear in Coruscant's darkening sky, Kal-El made a silent promise to the parents he'd never known. "I'll protect them. All of them. This galaxy, these people, this family. I'll be the hero you hoped I'd become. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because it's right. Because someone has to stand between the darkness and the light, and I choose to be that someone. Always." The end.